Good day, welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith. Vice President Bharat Jagdeo just over a week ago promised that the lopsided 2016 oil contract that Guyana has with ExxonMobil will change in the future through the process of renegotiation. But one member of civil society, Dr. Yog Mahadeo, believes that the country should move with greater alacrity on this matter, especially as production of oil and gas resources is set to triple in about 5 years' time. Dr. Mahadeo, a founding member of a transparency watchdog body, Article 13, said that the citizens of Guyana should not allow Jagdeo to escape taking responsibility for making another promise to renegotiate the Exxon contract. To this end, he pointed out that as the leaders seek to ramp up the production of oil, it should be investing equal effort to bring back the oil company to the table. In fact, the activists noted that the renegotiation of the deal should take precedence. And 1 year after Vice President Bharat Jagdeo had said that charges would be laid against persons involved in the almost $1 billion fuel racket between Guyana and the GDF, no one has been charged and police are still said to be looking into the matter. It is understood, however, that 2 persons have so far been fired with immediate effect from Guyana following the scandal being publicized. We were told by the well-placed sources that Guyana's terminal superintendent Joseph Evans and Leron Thompson, a billing and general clerk, were immediately terminated in direct connection with the theft and resale of the fuel. Another named staffer, who previously held the general clerk post, was also found to be part of the racket, but he was fired before the issue went public in relation to a different matter. President Irfan Ali, who is also Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, has been asked to convene an independent investigation into the murder of a businessman, Ricardo Fagundes, and the alleged cover-up by the Guyana Police Force to kill the investigation. He also requests witness protection for Sergeant Dion Bascom, who last week linked businessman Azruddin Mohammed and Superintendent Mitchell Caesar to the crime. Police last week said the Office of Professional Responsibility is tasked with investigating the allegations by Bascom, but former chairman of the Police Service Commission and respected retired Assistant Commissioner of Police Paul Slow said that the body was too compromised to conduct such a probe. Slow also said that no unit of the police force should investigate the case and called for an international probe. Meanwhile, Police Sergeant Dion Bascom has rejected a demand by businessman Azruddin Mohammed and others for an apology and vowed to stoutly defend the case in court. Bascom was earlier this year removed from investigating the killing of Fagundes and transferred to another location, has alleged a grand cover-up by senior ranks of the Criminal Investigations Department of the Guyana Police Force and the payment of a large bribe to a named officer as part of the cover-up. The officer, as well as a prominent businessman linked to the crime, has since denied the allegations and even threatened to sue Bascom. And moving on, in highlighting some of the benefits of the $20 million World Bank loan, which was secured by Guyana in 2019, the institution posited that the smallest effort made by the country to improve its oil and gas management capacity under the project supported by this money could translate to huge improvements in the amount of revenue the country gets from its oil resources. The World Bank support document, Guyana Petroleum Resources Governance and Management Project, is one of the important documents currently available for Guyana to build its ability to oversee and manage its nascent oil sector. It is also one of the important documents which remain unused by the country, despite the institutions being paid to provide the capacity building support, insisting on how imperative the work is toward Guyana safeguarding itself from various types of losses associated with the oil and gas industry. And just before we head to a short break, let's tell you that the Inter-American Development Bank has loaned Guyana $60 million for infrastructure improvement and expansion at 3 priority hospitals, namely the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, the New Amsterdam Hospital, and the Linden Hospital Complex. The funding is provided under the Healthcare Network Strengthening in Guyana project and is being implemented by the Ministry of Health. The project has 3 components. The first dedicates $48 million towards supporting hospital health services networks. The bank said this component will finance inputs to allow the hospital network to function more efficiently by expanding capacity at 2 strategic level 4 hospitals, thereby relieving pressure on the GPHC, the main national reference hospital, to provide lower complexity services while also increasing the ability of this facility to fulfill its mission of handling specialty referral cases. You're listening to Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 and 99.5 FM. This is your news at noon. We'll take a short break and return with your news.
This is GHK Lall, inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues, immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Welcome back. Let's continue with the news. Minister of Home Affairs Robson Ben has assured that the government of Guyana putting systems in place to respond to any disaster that can occur at the highly touted Wales gas-to-energy project. Part of the master plan, according to him, is the construction of a new fire station and procuring new vehicles to be on standby to respond to fires or explosions. The minister, in a brief telephone interview, said yesterday that the response plan is presently being developed. And in other news, the Domestic Violence and Sexual Offences Act is set to be revamped to include, among other things, new measures to counter harassment. This was revealed by Minister of Human Services, Dr. Vindya Prasad. Minister Prasad said that legislative change is also crucial. The minister said that the changes in the law are set to address several issues arising from acts of violence, harassment, and abuse. She said the amendments to the Act will be tabled in Parliament by year-end. And in other news, the Ministry of Education and Gafsons Industries Limited on Monday signed a $48 million contract for the supply, installation and commissioning of solar photovoltaic systems at the Guyana Learning Channel facilities located in Aishalton and Karasabay in Region 9. According to the Education Ministry, there was a public tendering process and Gafsons Industries Limited emerged as the recommended bidder and was awarded the contract. And in other news, the man who killed his estranged wife last week owing to her allegedly seeing someone else was on Monday charged with murder when he appeared virtually at the Springlands Magistrates Court. The accused is 37-year-old Bubaram Suraj Ganpat of Glasgow Housing Scheme. Ganpat was arraigned before Magistrate Alex Moore. He is accused of murdering Padmini Ramchandar of number 47 Village. He was not required to plead to the inedible charge and was remanded to prison until November 2nd for report. And at this time, we of course wrap things up with page 7 of today's Kaieteur News dedicated to being blunt. The IDB recommended that Guyana ensures that it has a cost allocation law. From laws come policies and procedures as standards, which are the tools put in the hands of Guyanese workers for implementing and bringing benefits to this nation. Cost allocation law identifies who is responsible for what areas of costs, what is shared, and how much is the obligation of each party, if any, contract or deal. Such a law is a must-have. It is not something to dilly-dally over, play games with, but something that has to be the highest priority. The bottom line is we don't have one, despite that $11.6 million IDB loan, and it doesn't look as though this country is anywhere near to having such a cost allocation law. The fact that we don't have this law is more than a betrayal by the government. It amounts to nothing less than treason, which we know is a kind of capital offense. Millions are borrowed, loans are spent, and we are in the same place, if not worse than before. Men should really go to jail for crimes such as these. And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts, streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.